Prince Androgeus, the son of Cretan king Minos, participated in the Panathenaic Games and took all the prizes. This greatly disappointed the Athenian sports fans, who were sure in advance that all the victories in the games would go to the top Athenian athletes. When a prince of Crete, the arch-rival of Athens, took all the prizes, it was extra humiliating for the Athenian king Aegeus, the Athenian athletic heroes and their fans, who were all bad losers and flew into a rage when Prince Androgeus won every single sport in the Athenian Games and vowed to repeat his winning streak in the soon-coming Laius Games in Thebes. Defeats there for Athens sports heroes would be as humiliating as in the Athens Games. Of course, King Aegeus and Athens' top athletes and their fans would have none of that. Egged on by the king, this group developed into a hooligan mob that followed Prince Androgeus, his support apparatus and a large group of Cretan followers on their way to the Thebes Games. The Athenian mob taunted and rained insults, rubbish and stones on Prince Androgeus' entourage and Cretan fans. At some distance outside Athens, the mob got out of hand, attacking Prince Androgeus and the Cretans on the road to Thebes. Many on both sides of the conflict had melee weapons that resulted in many being injured and killed in the violent tumults, among them the Cretan prince and sports hero Androgeus. The Athenians quickly gained the upper hand and chased the surviving Cretan fans in all directions. King Minos reacted to the news of the Athenians' murder of his son with bottomless grief and paralysis that quickly turned into boundless rage and intense action to exact a well-deserved revenge on the Athenians. The army and fleet were quickly mobilized and King Minos declared war on Athens and put himself in charge of the large punitive expedition that set sail to destroy Athens to avenge the murder of his son. The superior Minoan fleet engaged the Athenian fleet outside the port city of Athens Piraeus, after intense fighting, in which many warships were destroyed and sank to the bottom with their warriors. The superior Minoan fleet gained the upper hand and chased away the remnants of the Athenian fleet. The Minoan fleet anchored at Piraeus harbor and the soldiers on board disembarked and stormed the walls of Piraeus and captured the port city after a brief battle against the Athenian garrison, who along with most of the civilian population fled to Athens to avoid ending up as slaves in Crete. Piraeus harbor warehouses, which contained large quantities of valuable goods from the sea trade of the Athenians, was thoroughly looted by the Minoans. Then came the port city's trading houses and public buildings and the homes of the city's rich, which were also thoroughly looted and then set on fire. Finally, marble and bronze statues of Athenian heroes and kings by the harbor were toppled from their plinths and smashed to pieces. The Minoan army then marched towards Athens and began a siege of the city. When the city's king Aegeus refused to surrender the city to the Minoans, the Minoan army forces stormed the city's walls and after repeated attempts over many days they broke through the Athenian defenses in several places. After fierce resistance, the Athenians under King Aegeus managed to drive the Minoan warriors out of the city after they had caused much destruction and deaths. The Minoan army then besieged Athens for months to pressure the Athenians to comply with King Minos's demands for a huge compensation for the murder of his son Prince Androgeus. As a heartless exactor, Minos offered the Athenians peace if they as a tribute sent Minos 14 Athenian youths, 7 young men and 7 maidens to be fed to the Minotaur monster yearly in revenge for the death of his son Prince Androgeus. The Athenians had to accept this terrible demand to stop the devastating war. The annual sacrifices of the youngsters continued until King Aegeus' son Theseus killed the Minotaur monster with the help of Ariadne, Minos' love-struck daughter. The Minotaur monster lived in a labyrinth under King Minos's Knossos palace. It was an elaborate, confusing structure designed and built by the legendary artificer Daedalus for King Minos of Crete. Its function was to keep the Minotaur monster within its boundaries. Daedalus had so cunningly made the labyrinth that he could barely escape it after he built it. At the palace was the site of a dancing ground made for Ariadne by the craftsman Daedalus, where young Athenian men and women sent to Crete as prey for the Minotaur would dance until they were fed to the Minotaur. The royal family, the court and guests were the audience for these dance performances in the palace of Knossos. It was at one of these dance performances for the young people who were to be sacrificed to the Minotaur monster that Princess Ariadne met the Athenian prince Theseus and fell in love with him. In the Knossos Palace garden, there was a temple dedicated to Apollo and Helios where King Minos and his family and court could worship these deities. There were also many kinds of pets in the garden as fallow deers, giraffes, aurochs, striped hyenas, macaques, monk seals, cheetahs and flamingos, to the delight of the royal family and members of the court. Princess Ariadne often petted them when she stayed in the garden, then she also sang and played her musical instruments. In the garden of the palace of Knossos there were all kinds of fruits, from peaches to quince, grapes, mulberries, dates, figs, pomegranates and many other kinds that daily supplied the royal family in the court with the finest and tastiest fruits. Much fruit went into making raki with a very high alcohol content was the most popular traditional Cretan spirit at the Knossos palace and in the city, especially King Minos and the labyrinth monster Minotaur were fond of it and consumed large quantities of it each day. The Cretan raki is a pomace brandy, distilled by quince and grapes after the fruits are left to ferment in barrels. Rakamilo was also a popular spirit at the Knossos palace and in the labyrinth, it's made by combining raki with honey and several spices. The ancient Cretans called quince Sidonian pome as they associated quince with ancient Sidonia on Crete and named it after it because the city's founder King Sidon as his mother Princess Akakalis and the rest of the royal family were very fond of quince and ate a bunch of it each day. They appreciated it for its intense aroma, flavor, and tartness, eat it raw, peeled, roasted, baked, stewed, cooked, as pie, jam, marmalade, jelly, or as quince pudding and also made the brandy raki from it.